All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today to another Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants hangout. We're celebrating the Biodiversity Day, so we have a lot of great hangouts coming up today. Pleased to welcome Clare back, who's been with us before. Clare is a PhD student working with Southampton University in the National Oceanography Centre, Southampton. Clare is examining the movement patterns and feeding ecology of whale sharks, which is the world's largest fish. She uses data from tissue samples and acoustic tagging. So Clare aims to further explain how and why these gentle giants use the Mozambican coastline. So without further ado, I will throw it over to Clare. Oh, we just lost her though. That is poor timing. She just dropped out of the call. This sometimes happens. Usually they can get back in within a few seconds. So we'll just wait for her now. Oh, here we go. Clare, are you back with us?
Yeah, I have no idea what happened there. I'm so sorry.
No, it's
Never
okay.
mind.
No problem. I just finished the introduction, so we'll throw it over to you now.
Thank you so much for joining. Actually, from now, so this is the view from my office. Not that bad, I don't think. So I'm just gonna switch over to a PowerPoint presentation if I can do that. And then I'll start talking about myself and what I do and about whale sharks, which I guess is mostly what you guys are here to listen about. Cool. Let me just go. Cool. So I hope you all can see that. So Prebble, I'm a whale shark researcher. I'm a marine biologist. And I'm also a PhD student at the moment. I mostly work in Mozambique, which is in the southern part of Africa. And like you said, my study species is whale sharks. So I am part of two organizations at the moment. I'm doing my PhD in England, which is where I'm from. And my university is called the University of Southampton. And I work in a really, really big building called the National Oceanography Centre. But I'm also part as well, which was founded here in Mozambique. But we also have projects in loads of other Tanzania and the Galapagos and Indonesia and tons of other places at the moment. Focus on whale sharks, manta rays, and we also do a little bit of work on turtles and a little bit of work on really big whales. So as well as being a marine biologist and a student, I'm also a really keen photographer. I really enjoy taking photographs underwater and also land photographs as well. I think it's a really, really great way to convey information about endangered species or about conservation, and also fun, and you get to go to really cool places and see lots of amazing animals. Okay, so that's mostly about me. So this is a picture of Tofo. You could kind of see it there behind me in the laptop just then, but this is the bay that I work in Tofo. I've been here for on and off since 2011, so about 6 years now. I came here first to work as a volunteer, and this is where I saw my first whale shark ever. And after helping out a friend of mine with his PhD, I was only supposed to be here for 6 months, and then I stayed for 6 years. So after helping my friend with his PhD, I decided to start a PhD of my own, and I chose whale sharks. So for those of you who aren't familiar with info, whale sharks are not whales. They are true sharks. The name is a bit misleading. They are fish. and they're also part of a little group inside the fish family called the elasmobranchs. So this includes sharks and rays. And they're different to whales and dolphins. They breathe through their gills. You can see from the picture there on the side of that whale shark, they've got 5 gill slits. So they breathe from the water rather than from the air, like the dolphin picture above it. They're cold-blooded animals as well. And also their skeleton is mostly made of cartilage, not bone. So that's the same stuff in your nose and ears rather than your bones. So whale sharks are pretty amazing. They're the biggest fish in the world. They grow up to 20 meters in length, and even the juvenile sharks, the little ones, they can weigh up to between 30 and 40 tons, which is incredibly heavy animals. So that's about the bus length, it's almost 2 bus lengths. They're really, really big animals. Despite their size, whale sharks are actually not dangerous to humans at all. They're one of 3 filter-feeding species of sharks. So instead of eating other fish, they use filtering pads at the back of their throat to sieve out tiny little animals from the water called zooplankton. Whale sharks are generally pretty solitary animals. They mostly just hang out by themselves. They don't hang out in family groups like whales and dolphins do. However, if there's a lot of food in the water, as there is sometimes in specific places at specific times of year, there's a huge amount of food in the water, and they'll get together in groups of up to 800 sharks, which is pretty amazing to see. So why do we even study charismatic? Important part of tourism in a lot of countries, places like Australia and Tanzania and Mexico. The local communities get a huge amount of money from whale shark tourism. But also whale sharks are under threat. They're caught accidentally by big fish that get in. And sometimes they're targeted for their fins. Whale sharks also get caught in nets when they're closer to shore, so they accidentally get. What we're trying to do is find out a bit more about them so that we can help them out, so that we can manage these ones start doing really well. So the things that we try and find out about our whale sharks are, firstly, we need to identify them. So each whale shark has a completely unique spots pattern on them. So every single whale shark print made up of all their spots. And what we can do is we can take photographs of these spots, and then we can identify every single whale shark. They're all completely different. Another thing we like to know about our whale sharks is whether they're boys or girls. And luckily for us, it's pretty easy to find out. What we have to do is we have to snorkel with the sharks. We have to swim slightly underneath their belly. You have to look in between their 2 pelvic fins, which is pointed out there with the claspers. So the boys have 2 claspers between their pelvic fins, and the girls don't. So we can tell whether the whale sharks are males or females pretty easily. We also like to look at maturity as well. We can tell how old they are, and we can tell that from how big the claspers are also. We also like to know where the whale sharks go. The way to put these electronic tags on the whale sharks. So we attach them to the sharks, which tells us a lot of information about where they're going and so I'm just going to show you a quick video if it works. And this will show you what it looks like when we put one of these tags on. So this is a young male shark. His name is Simon. He's actually jewelry. He's actually got 2 tags attached there on the side. So we just put these tags just under their skin, just by their dorsal fin. And those tags will transmit a huge amount of information about where they're going. So far, some of the stuff we found out, a lot of the groups of whale sharks that we find around the world, and also a lot of them don't get very big. Remember I said they get up to 20 meters in length? Well, most of the ones we see on the coast in these females, most of them are only about 5 meters long. And so we really don't know very much about where the adults are, and we don't know where most of the females are either, which is really interesting, and it means we've got a lot of work to do. One of the things that I'm trying to do for my studies is, as well as finding out what they're doing and where they're going using these tags, which we put directly onto the sharks. It's really cool technique where, based on the phrase, "you are what you eat," sharks will swim around doing what they do and swim around and eat what they want to eat. And whatever they eat, it goes into their organs, it goes into their tissues and their skin. So whatever they eat becomes part of the whale sharks themselves. And what I can do is I can take a tiny piece of their skin and I can analyze it in the lab and find out what they've been eating and where they've been going for the last few years, which is really, really cool. I spend a lot of time in the lab, so not all of it is swimming around in the ocean. I do spend a lot of university doing science or doing chemistry as well. And what I've found out so far, really, I've got 3 main study sites. One of them is in Qatar, which is the one at the top. One of them is in Mozambique, which is the one in the middle. Sorry, the Tanzania is the one in the middle. And then the one at the bottom is Mozambique, where I am right now. And so far, what my work has told me, it seems like they can swim really, really long distances. These whale sharks in these places, they're just staying in these locations. They're really, really from each of the countries that they're found in, which means that each country has to take really good care of their whale do. These are some of the other locations where I work. I'm really, really lucky. I get to go to some pretty amazing places around the world. And some of the things that I'll be trying to figure out in the future are, where are all the really, really big whale sharks and what are they doing? And also, where are all the pregnant females? We really don't know very much about how whale sharks breed. And this is one of the big questions in whale shark research at the moment. And hopefully, using my skin samples and using the biochemistry that I do, I'll be able to help answer some of these really cool questions. And just to finish up, again, if this works, I'll just show you a quick video. And this is the kind of stuff that I get to do. This is a video from Tanzania. And they have some pretty amazing blue water there in them, which is when we, a couple of whale sharks, they're actually what we call suction feeding. So they're sitting upright and sucking the food from the surface. And what they're actually doing there is eating tiny little bait fish, so tiny little mackerel. I got too absorbed in watching the whale sharks, and this happened, and I forgot to get out the way. Okay, so we'll just end it there. And I guess now would be a time if you guys have any questions.
Perfect. All right, thank you so much, Claire. Okay, so we'll go to the different classrooms. We'll do one question for now, and hopefully we'll have time for another round. So we're just going to start with Mr. Noise's class. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. All right, so if you have, do you have a question for Claire?
Yes. Do whale sharks lay eggs or have live births?
Wow, that's such a good question, because a lot do actually lay eggs, but whale sharks are what we call oviviparous. So exactly like you said, they develop inside them, and so they give birth to live young. So We think that they give birth to about 300 baby whale sharks at once, and each one of them is about 50 or 60 centimeters big when they come out.
Awesome. And I know Mr. Noy's class actually has to potentially leave a bit early. So do you have another question for Claire, or?
Yes, we do. Just a minute.
Perfect.
You can introduce yourself.
All right. Hello, my name is Richard, and this is my question. Have you made any other recent important discoveries about whale sharks?
That's a really difficult question. I'm still studying at the moment, so I'm still working through a lot of my data. At the moment, what I'm working on, as well as looking at where the whale sharks spend their time, I'm actually more at what they're eating as well, but I haven't done that analysis yet. So that's a hard question, but I'll have to get back to you guys when I've finished writing up all of my data.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Noy's class. So let's go to Mr. Candela. And do you have a question for Claire?
Get closer to the computer. Speak up.
So, what's the most boring part of your job?
There is a lot more paperwork than you think in science, and I have to say the most boring part of my day is doing all of the organizing and all of the filling out forms and loads of stuff like that, which nobody tells you have to do before you start this job.
All right, perfect. And actually, you should have time for everyone to get in 2 questions. So if Mr. Kendall's class has another one?
Yes. Yeah, so why'd you choose whale sharks specifically?
If I'm being completely honest, it was completely accidental. I actually finished my master's degree in the UK, and I was actually watching TV. And I saw the end of a TV program that I think has been on in the UK and in the States, of marine megafauna, Andrea Marshall, who has also been on one of these hangouts. She did a TV program called Queen of the Mantas, and I caught the last 2 minutes of that program, and I got to see photographs and videos of Mozambique. And I just sent in my CV, and I basically teetered the line between harassment and persistence to try and come out in here and do some work and do some research. And I ended up coming here about a year later, and I just fell in love with the place and with the sharks. And it was also quite good timing that my colleague was just finishing his PhD, so it really paved the way nicely for me to follow on from his work. So I've always been a marine person. I've been diving since I was 14, so I've always loved the water. But I think whale sharks specifically was a delightful accident.
Awesome. Okay, so let's head over to Mr. Wiseman's class.
If they're not really whales, why are they even called whale sharks?
I think it's a really annoying name as well, because I have to explain it a lot. But I think the original people who named the whale sharks, because they're very, very large, they're a lot bigger than any other sharks, and a lot like the baleen whales, like the humpback whales, they filter the water for their food. They've got really big mouths. They eat very, very tiny animals in the ocean. So I think they saw the similarities between the big baleen whales and whale sharks, and then just named it whale shark. But it's I think it's a silly name. I'm pretty sure we could have come up with a better one.
Okay, Mr. Wiseman, do you have another question?
Have you ever had a time where you were in danger? And if you have, when and what made you in danger?
I can't think of any time that I've been really in danger because of the sharks. I think the only time that I was a bit worried about my research was when a kind of flash rainstorm happened, and the rain was so heavy that we couldn't see our way back to the shore. So we had to sit in the rain for quite a long time. And we didn't really know where we were going to get back, but luckily the rain stopped eventually. But it was pretty scary because you can't see any way you're going when it rains that hard. So always bring a GPS that works is my advice for that.
All right, good advice. So we'll head over to Miss Logan's class.
Good morning.
So, as someone who's interested in the field, can you tell me more about marine biology?
That is an enormous question you've just asked there. Well, I guess if it's a very broad topic. I think marine biology includes a lot of things. I think specifically what I'm doing, really, I'm a shark biologist, if I'm being completely honest, or a biochemist even. But it's a really great subject to get involved with. A lot of it you can engineer to be in places like this if you really try. But it's such a huge topic. There's loads of things like oceanography, which looks at data over the whole globe. There's specific species biology, which I do as well. There's on-the-ground conservation. I'd say watch a lot of nature documentaries and figure out what's out there. Figure out what's out there for you and what you like, and try and sort of gear your interest towards that. There's loads of like volunteer programs and like summer school things you can get involved with to figure out exactly what you like. But it's a great field to be working in. It's difficult sometimes logistically, but I love it.
Perfect. Okay, and Ms. Logan's class, do you have one more question?
Yeah, we got one more. Would you rather swim in the sea with the sharks or study the labs, and why?
I don't think there's many people that would pick the lab. I'm pretty honest. I absolutely love doing the field work. It's really great. It's so much fun. I mean, it's part of the reason. Well, it's probably the main reason why most people end up in this field, so that you get to spend a lot of time outdoors with your sharks or whatever animal you're studying. Having said that, being in the lab, while it's not so fun, it is weirdly satisfying when you finish all your lab work and you get to look at all of your results. And it's great when what you've seen out there in the ocean matches up with the data that you've collected. It's quite satisfying, and it's pretty exciting as well when you have start discovering new things all by yourself. It's great. But if I had to pick, I'd just be a research assistant the whole time. You just never get paid.
Yes. All right, sounds good. And we'll head on over to Mr. Pennington's class.
Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, were you scared to swim with whale sharks, like the first time?
I can't say that I was, to be honest. I really enjoyed it. It was so fun. I was a bit. I was mostly just excited, but it is a bit shocking the first time you see them because they are really big animals. Even the small ones are 5 meters long, and that's the first time you see one. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing the first time. But I don't think I've ever been scared. I have to be honest. There's a lot of other sharks that I'd be scared of, but these guys, they're mostly just big ocean hoovers. They just swim around trying to eat stuff, and if you know, and you're really not important to them at all, they just swim by you. They're really graceful.
All right, amazing. And Mr. Pennington's class, if you have one more question?
I was wondering, what was your favorite class in middle school?
Okay, so I was educated in the UK. So can you tell me how old people in middle school are?
13 or 14.
13 or 14.
13 or 14.
Yeah. I think it was probably biology, chemistry, and maths. I'm sorry, that's really dorky, but I think biology was absolutely my favorite. And then I liked chemistry a little bit, and then I've always just been able to do maths. I don't know if I've enjoyed it much, but I think those three topics were my favorite. I'm awful at languages, and I'm awful at history, but I think I managed to do science okay.
Right, perfect. And so we'll head over to Miss Schneck's class. If you could unmute your microphone, I just can't reach your panel from here.
Okay, awesome. Hey, Claire, we're so excited. Oh, yeah.
Hey.
We're so excited. Part of our global studies program, our fifth graders study Africa. So they've been looking forward to this for a long time. So here's one of our fifth graders.
Hey.
Okay,
Do whale sharks have any known predators?
So that's a really great question. When they're little, so remember I said that they're born at about 50 or 60 centimeters. When they're little like that, quite a lot of things will eat them. So basically anything that's bigger than them, bigger fish, bigger sharks, and they will sometimes eat them as well. But once they get to about 4 or 5 meters long, they don't really have any natural predators. They have some of the thickest skin in the animal kingdom. So on their back, their skin is about 10 centimeters thick. That is thicker than elephants, and that's thicker than rhino skin. So they, apart from being really big, they have a really, really great thick shield on their back. And there's not really much that will try and take them out. Great white sharks won't even try and attack them. They won't kill them. So I think the major predator, I suppose, when they're adults is humans, unfortunately.
Okay, perfect. And Ms. Schneckner's class, do you have one more question?
Gotcha. There you go. Where's their breeding grounds?
So we are trying to find out that exact thing. So the only thing we currently know about whale shark breeding is based on one female that was found in Taiwan quite a few years ago. And that's how we know that whale sharks give birth to live young and that they have about 300 pups at once. But that's all of the information we have from this one female whale shark. We have no idea where most of the adults are. We don't know where they breed, and we don't know where they have their babies. We have a suspicion that some of this happens out in the Galapagos Islands. So the Galapagos is a really special place for whale sharks. It's the only place in the world where they see very large pregnant females quite a lot of the time. And so we're working with a few other research groups, including the Georgia Aquarium, to go out to the Galapagos, and we're trying to find out exactly that. It's where they go to give birth, like what these pregnant females do. But very topical question. That's exactly what all of us are working on together at the moment.
All right, perfect. Again, thank you so much, Claire, for joining us again. That just about wraps up all the time we have. I'm just going to unmute everyone's microphone. If we could give a big thank you to Claire.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks everyone. Take care, and be sure to check out our other hangouts today and coming up in May. Take care.